Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us on our 6th episode of Moon Mondays on the Cosmic Council Radio Network. I am April, a.k.a. Pisces Moon Goddess, and I'm one of your hosts on the panel. We also have other astrologers that are on the Cosmic Council Network. We have joining us tonight, we have Appollonia Smith and Rahbinah Rastaban. Ladies, if you're on the line, say hello.
Greetings, everyone. This is Rahbinah Rastaban, a.k.a. the Realest Astrologer. Happy Monday, everyone.
Hi, ladies. Happy Monday. This is Appollonia. Welcome to the show, guys.
All right. I think we're just missing Tony Barber, the Seeing Piscean. Does anybody know her whereabouts? Has she swam to the bottom of the ocean or like?
Yeah, I haven't heard from Tony.
I haven't heard from her, but I'll check with her and see while we're getting started.
Okay, cool. So we've got the majority of our panel on board right now. So tonight we're going to talk about health and astrology. How can you see what are sensitive areas of your health, if you will, based on your birth chart, based on your birth time and birth date? Or how can you see things like certain times of the year or certain long time periods in life where you may have certain health issues that pop up, for an example. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And before we dive into that, of course, I just wanted to mention that we are on every other Monday at the same time, which is 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And you can follow us on BlogTalkRadio to get alerts on when our all the shows on the Cosmic Council are going to go live. And also you can follow the Cosmic Council on Facebook, on Instagram, and also on YouTube. Actually, we're building the YouTube up. We've got all of the Moon Mondays previous episodes up on YouTube now. So if you want to go listen to past episodes, you can do that there. All of our shows on the Cosmic Council Network are making their way to YouTube as well for replays. It's a lot easier to listen to them on there sometimes. What else? So, yeah, we are seeking out affiliates. That means if anybody wants to use our space on the Cosmic Council Network for anything that they would like to speak about, any topics that are of great interest to them, you can message us. You can email us at questions, plural, at thecosmiccouncil.com. And we will let you know how to get set up as an affiliate to join the network with whatever topic that you want to talk about. So before we get started on our main topic, I am going to read the mission statement. It's kind of like, you know how when, like, say, for example, musicians and artists, they get on, before they go out and perform, their whole crew gathers together and they say a little prayer in a huddle, to make sure they have a good show. That's kind of like what our mission statement is for us. That's why we like to read it. Excuse me. So here's our mission statement. It is: the Cosmic Council is dedicated to the teachings of astrological, metaphysical, esoteric, and spiritual knowledge. The members of this council pride themselves on keeping an open-minded approach while spreading love, light, and wisdom in the name of Aquarian unity. We are a group of diverse astrologers, intuitives, metaphysicians, and passionate affiliates. We all come with a broad voice that we are eager to share with the world from a creative, fun, rich, and powerful perspective. Of course, we all have our own flair, spin, and unique way of expressing ourselves creatively. Our goal is to speak to those that are rarely spoken to or for, say the things that are rarely stated, uncover the things that are usually hidden, and to bring light. We feel that it is our responsibility as light bearers to provide counsel, insight, and foresight to those seeking to know thyself. Like air, we hover over the situation with you to assist in viewing the bigger picture. Like earth, we help you to dissect the most needed pieces of the puzzle in order to create a practical plan to help you build. Like water, we cleanse, we heal, we quench your thirst, we seek to explore every emotion with you by getting to the root cause. Like fire, we ignite you, motivating you to take actionable steps for the greater good. We take our duties as a counsel seriously, and we stand by them diligently. I believe Tony has joined us. Tony, is this you?
It is. How are you?
Yay! How are you? Are you doing okay?
Yes, I am. I'm trying to get my Bluetooth connected, so give me a quick second.
Okay. I was just a little worried because I know that last week you had a cold or something, or you recently were like getting over something. So I'm glad you're better and you're here.
Yeah, I actually have my voice back too, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I had a nasty little bug.
Yay. Well, yeah, that kind of ties into what we're talking about tonight, right? We're talking about health. Health and illness and wellness. I guess we can just kind of dive. We'd like to start out by diving a little bit into the current astrological weather to kind of explain a little bit of what's going on in the air, so to speak, aka the transits of what's going on. Does anybody want to speak on any of the major transits going on right now?
Well, I guess I'll start. This is Appollonia, guys. Welcome to the show, everyone listening out there. I'm having I don't want to say an issue, but Chiron and Venus are all up in my face. I don't like the energy of that. I don't like the energy of them together. Chiron and Venus together, I feel like Chiron is making Venus, making you, or making Venus make you remember, if I'm saying that right. It's triggering feelings of pain to me. When it comes to pain in love, pain in experiences, unions. But yeah, I'm really not digging Venus and Chiron together, especially going through my first house. I just don't, and I know the pain or the feelings of it will begin to shift as Venus moves further away from Chiron, but I think it's causing a lot of emotional upheavals. Probably especially in women. So,
yeah.
What do you guys think about that with the Chiron and Venus conjunction?
I'd say definitely. This is happening right on top of my son. So, and not until I think I was chatting with you, Appollonia, on Facebook that I remembered Venus being retrograde, rolling back over my son's degree and me losing my voice. And it just... I had a tough time. I mean, even today, it kind of comes and goes. I had my moment. You probably can hear a little bit, but this has been a nasty little bug and hard to shake. But the one thing that sticks out of my mind is losing my voice and having to sit down and be quiet. That was a little different for me. But I actually, on one side, I kind of enjoyed that and just a little self-reflection. But on the other side, feeling a little sluggish and just not able to get in the groove of things. That was a little bit annoying, especially when I had a hectic schedule at work. But so I definitely feel that Venus rolling back over the sign of Pisces, or the later degrees of Pisces. I can definitely feel that.
Since that's been on my moon as well, because I'm also a late degree Pisces moon. Oh man. Yeah, the Chiron conjunct Venus, and then I'm also a Taurus, so that's one of my ruling planets. One of my kids was under the weather last week, and he's a Libra rising, so Libra is ruled by Venus too, and that this is in his it was in his sixth house of health, which we're going to talk a lot about. So there was just all of these indicators of me having to take care of him and him being sick and staying home. Then I was under the weather all weekend. I was moping around. I've been, worried so much about financial issues and just feeling not not as like feminine, not as pretty. I've been just like looking like Felicia on Friday every day, no makeup, my hair, like I look like a meth head. I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel right. I don't look right. It's reflecting.
I think Chiron conjunct Venus probably has a lot to do with us not feeling our best physically as well when it comes to vanity. Maybe looking at the mirror at things that we want to fix or tweak, or, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was like that right there, you know. Even a family member sent me a picture, and of course me and her are really close. I won't put her on blast totally, but she texted me a picture of her boobs, and she was like, "Look how low my titties are hanging." And she's like, "Oh my God, this is so effing ridiculous." And I was like, okay, that was a random, but this family member is a Gemini, so she was very random with that. But she was really, really emotional. So I think the Chiron conjunct Venus is definitely having us ladies look at ourselves a bit under the microscope of like, hey, what's going on with me physically as well, you know, because Venus can deal with vanity. So, yeah, good point.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to the whole vanity thing, and because that conjunction's in my second house right now. So just last night, I was looking in the mirror and like seeing all this facial hair that I have, and I'm like, oh Lord. you know, the older you get, and your estrogen hormones drop down a little bit, the more you get that, you know, that peach fuzz and stuff on your face, and the mustache. I always had a little mustache, but man, lately I've been like, shit, what am I going to do?
Get that wax out.
Girl, just hit that wax lady up.
That reminds me of on Eddie Murphy Delirious when you talked about Aunt Bunny got a mustache.
Yeah.
She got a mustache.
You know, I have no shame in my game when it comes to my waxing. Like, me and my sisters, we have all these jokes about where did we get all this hairiness from? Like, we're just hairy women in our family. So, you know, like my family even knows too, when it's my shave day, I'm in the bathroom for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're just a bunch of hairy females. So, yeah, it's a lot. And in my first house, with this transit, you know, I'm at a crossroads in my life, and I'm like, wow, I really need to get myself together. I really need to snap back, because when I look in the mirror, I don't even see the woman that I was prior to children. So it's like, it's feeling so transformational, like, wow, motherhood really changes you entirely. And a lot of times men or other people may not understand that. So it's definitely something to think about. The feelings are a little uncomfortable because Chiron is a touchy energy, but you know, it's something we have to deal with nonetheless.
Yeah, it'll definitely affect the feminine. I mean, now you guys are bringing up all this other stuff. I'm thinking in my head, oh my gosh, me too. Like, I've been looking at myself like that. Like, yeah. So I'm pretty sure a lot of other ladies are feeling that way too. So this definitely is some girl talk.
Yeah. So any other transits that are having you guys going a little cuckoo? Or any transits that are blissful for you?
Well, I just want to talk about Mercury retrograde real quick. It hasn't really affected me too much, except for, like, when it first went retrograde, I had issues with my Wi-Fi. But coming home today, I saw this real nasty car accident. And the thing is, you know, car accidents, they happen every day. But what I've noticed when it's Mercury retrograde, the car accident will be really nasty. And it will be a situation where you can tell it could have been avoided, and the person probably was very, distracted. So I just wanted to tell everybody, our listening audience, that, when it's Mercury retrograde, your chances of getting in a car accident could be higher, especially if Mercury is retrograde in your third house, maybe even your first house. And a lot of times it's because you're distracted. It may not even be, because you're not driving right or whatever. It could be because you're more distracted than normally. So just, be very attentive when you're on the road, everybody. Be safe. I don't want nobody to get into an accident during this Mercury retrograde cycle. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, very true. I noticed that as well. I noticed a lot more cars pulled over to the side of the road during Mercury retrograde. I noticed congestion where there usually isn't congestion during Mercury retrogrades. And people are a little bit more touchy-feely anyway during that time. Like somebody could take something the wrong way just in general. So I usually tread lightly when it comes to communication and, even in situations where I usually wouldn't bite my tongue, I do so during Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, I hear you guys on that. And Mercury is retrograde in Taurus, and I am a Taurus, and I have Mercury in Taurus. And right now it's retrograde at 4 degrees Taurus, and that's right on my Mars. So that's why I've been really trying to tread lightly when talking and texting and communicating with people in any form or fashion, because I know it can come off as a little more like pointy, that Mars arrow pointing at people like you. And I'm like, I don't really mean it like that, but people can take it that way, especially Cancers. I got called rude yesterday, okay, by a Cancer, so of course. Yeah, so, and also I just did a live, what's it called, like a live YouTube stream on my channel right before I hopped on here, and Mercury was just cutting off my broadcast. It cut it off like 5 or 6 times, like right in the middle of it. It was so irritating, and I'm like, Mercury hates me right now. Like, it has me retrograde in my sign, doesn't it, when I'm trying to do some major stuff. Like, thanks. So, and the accidents, head-on collisions, I notice a lot with Mercury retrograde. People driving the wrong way drivers, since Mercury is spinning backwards. So apparently people's brains are too, and, then their cars end up spinning backwards and going the wrong way. So definitely watch your driving, people, and everything else. Mercury ruled.
Yeah, very true.
Well, I had an incident at work where this was on the 30th of March, where we got a really, really nasty computer virus. And it was during close, and we lost like 3 days. We didn't have any access, not only to, our accounting system. We couldn't get on the Internet. We didn't have a phone system. And like I said, this went on. It was Thursday, Friday, and Monday. That was during the shadow period, and I don't think I realized that immediately. But I said I was going to pull the chart for the company that I work for and see, if it had any significant aspects, because we lost a lot of time. And that was really unusual, but at the same time, very frustrating and tiresome. I had rather work that whole day, as opposed to, just kind of sitting around and waiting for the system to come back up. Yeah. That was horrible. During the girl, no,
of course not.
Yeah, of course, right? And then I still ended up, not only did we weren't able to go home, they did not change the schedule whatsoever, because it was quarter end. You have SEC filing, so there was no changing. So there were days that I had to stay late, and that was frustrating as well. Yeah, because we were expected to meet our deadlines, and I mean, it was almost like we were supposed to just forge on like it never happened and do whatever you have to do. But that was very frustrating. Last week was but it's a new week, and we're moving on. But, yeah, Mercury retrograde. We'll tear up some stuff if we can.
Wow. So did you say that happened at the end of March?
Yes, actually it was March 30th. March
okay.
Thursday.
I'm being a real nerd right now. I'm looking in my ephemeris here, and on that day,
go for it.
No, Mercury was also in a close proximity to Uranus and in beginning its shadow period. So that's why, the extra weird, crazy stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to go back
in conjunct Uranus. That's why it took them so long to figure out what type of damn virus that was.
Yeah. That was embarrassing.
Uranus gave them a run for their money with that one.
Yeah, I think they did, but so I'm like you said, I don't know, it may repeat itself because it was really hard to kill, and as soon as they thought it was gone, somebody else's computer would pop up with this virus, and the signal was you can look over, and if your phone went black, you knew the virus was back, and that was like a running thing.
Wow.
It was
scary.
Wow. God, it was so frustrating. But I am glad that part was over with.
Yeah, so I guess we'll do a little checkup once the Mercury retrograde is nearing the end to see how we're all dealing with it at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys want to transition to our pop culture talk on Miss Jackson if you nasty?
Damn it.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Now, Astro Theme pegs her as a Scorp ascendant. She has sold sex since she was old enough too, so I wouldn't beg to differ that much. But I didn't peg her as an Aries moon. But that Scorpio rising, she's always sold sex. She's always sold her sexuality, and then she would flip it like she was this goody two-shoe at the same time.
Well, Taurus will do that, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So it made perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did pull a chart. I don't know if you guys did, and I guess we can kind of discuss some of her transits right now. But I did see right away that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you talked about the moon in Aries, but she got Venus right next to her moon in Aries, so that kind of softens that moon in Aries. But I'm also thinking about, just think about how her dancing. It was always kind of hard and, bam, and, so I'm thinking that, and then also the Aries can deal with sex as well, so, yeah. But I'm mainly looking at her style of dancing, especially, thinking of Rhythm Nation and Control and all. She always had that, boom, bam, boom. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's very true. And, I have heard men, and mainly Gemini or Libra men, say that they don't like a Taurus woman because she has this kind of harder exterior, or I have heard a Gemini man refer to it as Taurus women have this alter ego, and her name is Bonquisha, where she's a little tough or a little ratchet, or a Gemini man told me once that a Taurus woman turned him off because when they got home, she unbuckled her pants and her belly went out, and she was like, "Oh, I've been meaning to do that since dinner." A Taurus woman is just cool into herself.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. And Janet has always, I'm saying all of this to say, Janet has always had that little, I used to say all the time, she tries to be goody two-shoe in public, but her ass is Bonquisha behind closed doors. If you notice, she goes from being really thin to being really heavy Because a Taurus woman likes to get in the house and chill and eat, don't want to do shit, that type of thing. So,
hey, you don't know me, okay? You don't know me, okay?
I'm forgetting that we have a Taurus council member.
Oh yeah, so we got to tread lightly. Yeah. We got to be careful.
No, I'm loving it.
A Gemini man referred to you guys, you Taurus women, as Bonquisha, so they don't like all of that.
Yes. I will validate. My husband will tell you too. At home, I am Bonquisha, throwing stuff at him, and yes.
Yeah. And I really think Janet was probably most comfortable when she was with Jermaine Dupri. I think she was most comfortable and was herself. Like, she was herself with him. So I don't really know what ended that. Probably was some shady-ish that he was doing, but I don't know. I don't really know what ended that, but I know she was definitely herself with him. But
because Jermaine was like, Jermaine was feeding her and stuff. Was like, go ahead, baby, get fat. I like that fat ass. That's why she liked it. For real.
Yes, she did get very heavy with Jermaine Dupri. She did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they was just, spending all that money between them, sitting up, eating, chilling in the house. Jermaine Dupri is kind of, he stays out of the limelight, He comes out for certain things, and that's it. So she probably was really at home. But for a Taurus woman to marry a prince, I think that was too much pressure for her personally. That was a lot of pressure, especially a prince that already didn't have any kids.
Yeah. That
had to be really tough.
She had to give him an heir to the throne. There was a lot of pressure for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is the next prince? Where is he?
Yeah.
I have a wife. Where is the child?
And that Venus and Chiron transit is happening in her 4th house. Yeah.
It sure is.
That can feel very messy.
Right on her Saturn, too.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Mhm. And
she's going through a Saturn square.
Yeah, that Chiron conjunct Saturn is known. I know in the Magi astrology they believe that that's the heartbreak transit. So divorces typically happen under those aspects. So that makes sense.
Wow. So I said that this had to be painful for her, leaving the father of her first and only child.
Suspected only child.
Yeah, suspected only child.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, you forgot about her adult daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, can we see that in her chart, like a hidden child? Let's see.
I'm looking.
Let me see.
Hold on. Let me see.
Now I have her at May 16th, 66 at 7 p.m. in Gary, Indiana.
Neptune in the 1st.
Yeah, the ruler of her house of children is in her 1st house.
Secret.
Yeah,
that's the first
secret.
child. Well.
And then it's opposing all of her Taurus energy, which is in her house of marriage. So that could speak to the father getting custody or having to raise that child. That Mars there can sever ties with that child in some way. But then what throws me for the loop, too, is her South Node is conjuncting her Neptune. So she hides a lot. She hides a lot, and probably very few people feel like they actually know the real Janet. With Neptune in her first conjunct her South Node, very few people feel like they actually know who she is. Maybe besides her mother.
That's probably why we thought her and Jermaine was an odd couple, but in actuality, we just saw what she projected. We didn't see who she truly was. So that definitely makes sense. That jazz. I'm sorry.
Very
about that.
true.
Go ahead. That just popped in my head real quick.
No, you're right about that.
Taurus, especially in that 7th house, it's all about keeping up appearances. So Taurus is something, looks shady or dirty in their life. They are apt to cover it up. And they do a good job of that, too.
Yeah, especially with her Taurus stellium, including her sun. Her image is super de-duper important to her. So I'm sure she embarrasses easily. Especially being a later degree Taurus, she embarrasses very easily, and she just generally doesn't like people in her business. So I know it's kind of like a catch-22, her being a celebrity. She wouldn't have it any other way, making that easy money, that's for sure. With that moon and Venus in her 5th. That Pluto in her 10th conjunct Uranus, she wouldn't have it any other way with what she does. But fame is hard for her. Fame is definitely hard for her. Pluto conjunct Uranus in the 10th house, she would rather probably be wealthy from behind the scenes, I think, now that she's lived a life of fame at this point.
Yeah,
but also
has the same thing, I think.
Oh, really?
Because he has Pluto. He has Pluto and Uranus in the 10th, and he's also a Scorpio rising with Neptune on the ascendant. So but his moon is in the 4th house too. That's why he was like, he tried to be under the radar as much as possible. Part of him wanted to be flashy and all that stuff and in the spotlight, but then when it came time to just be home and be private, he wanted to be home and be private. He didn't want people in his business. He went out at night. He went out late at night, had places stay open late just for him and his crew because he didn't want to be seen and all that stuff. But this is about Janet. Sorry. Just wanted to do a comparison.
No, it's all relevant. But I think her issues with men come from, of course, the ruler of her 7th being in her 5th house, and Saturn conjunct Chiron affecting her 5th house. And Saturn conjunct Chiron speaks to her having an abusive father right there at her 4th and 5th house cusp.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Definite good one.
Yeah, and Chiron and Saturn right there at Pisces, that could be a creative but artistic abusive father. All that Piscean stuff with that. So with it conjuncting her Chiron, I think she may look for little pieces of her father in every man that she dates because she's subconsciously trying to heal that, Yeah. Wow. We all try to subconsciously heal Chiron, but when Chiron is sitting next to a personal planet, it's like you're always trying to nick that sore or heal that wound more so than the average person that doesn't have to face it all the time. Like my Chiron sits alone. So when it comes up or something activates it, it's like, oh, damn, I forgot. I have that wound right there. But someone with a personal planet sitting next to Chiron, they would pay more attention to that scar or that wound more frequently. And I think she's doing that with the men that she dates and that she marries.
Wow.
So don't forget she had that secret marriage with Renee.
Oh, yeah.
She's very secretive.
Oh, my God.
I forgot all about that one.
I think
Which
he was
one?
Controlling
Renee. I think it was something with him. He was either very controlling or he would insult her or something. So that kind of echoes her father. Is that the one
where she made that song with Missy Elliott?
Yep.
I bet you think this song is about you. Yeah, he was trying to take her for some money, too.
Yep.
Was this the backup dancer?
Yeah, he was a dancer.
He was a
check that out.
dancer,
yes,
producer.
that makes yes. So you see who she's attracted to. So I wonder what this prince is actually like then.
Well, I pulled up his
Think
chart.
about it.
I pulled up his
Oh,
chart.
good.
And
You
he
did.
has a where'd he go? Okay. He has a stellium in Capricorn, and he's a Leo moon. So he's got Sun, Mercury, and Venus in Cap. So Pluto is actually sandwiched between his Mercury and Venus right now. So that's pretty interesting.
I'm going to ask my kitchen Carol, was this marriage real? Because when you said Cap Stellium, I immediately heard business move.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah, status.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Leo,
and he's
his
very
moon
controlling.
is in her 10th house. Yeah, he could be. And his moon is in her 10th
Let
house.
me see the chart I got. Yeah, this was a business move.
Ooh.
Yes.
I got the chart.
Makes sense. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was a business move for. Well played, Miss Janet. Well played.
Taurus do know how to make that money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Wow. Because from the sounds of his chart, she likes Neptunian men. Think about Jermaine Dupri, the DeBarge guy that she married, the Renee guy. These are all creative souls. These are all men that have that affinity for music or something creative like she does. When you said Cap Stellium, Leo Moon, she wasn't comfortable in that situation.
Yeah, the only Neptunian energy I see is he has Mars conjunct Neptune in Sag. So he may have a dash of it, but just looking at his face and his pictures, what I'm reading from him, he doesn't look like a creative Neptunian guy. He's more like business, little more stoic, like just
Yeah, I get that.
He was probably bored. Just bored.
Yeah.
I need another young Tinder. Let me cash out of this marriage real quick. Get my $500 million.
Ka-ching.
Wow.
But what's going to be an issue, though? I really feel that there's some kind of way going to maneuver that son from out of her hands. They'll probably let her keep him for a while, but he has to be groomed for the family that he's in.
That makes sense.
So I think she that can definitely get to a woman being a mother, but at the same time, maybe if she's let her kids go before, she might be okay with it. But at the same time, her Venus and her moon are conjunct in Aries, so she could have an affinity for her male children opposed to her female children.
That's interesting.
And show favoritism for her boys. So you got to think about that part, too, that she might be, I'm sure she'll be closer to this son.
Especially if he come out looking like Michael.
What'd you say?
I said, especially if he come out looking like Michael.
He might.
And,
he might.
Oh,
then you guys see, she just completed her Mars return. So reports or TMZ is saying that she moved out a couple of weeks ago. So she probably moved out during that Mars return.
Yeah.
She's ready to go.
Yeah.
He has, and also he has Chiron in Aries, 19 degrees, and her moon is in Aries, 15 degrees, Venus, 13. So that you could be right. I think you could be right on that, Appollonia, about them probably not letting her keep that kid for too long, because that can symbolize a wound to your motherhood. That he can inflict upon her just by their energy exchange.
She probably feels like she chopped off her hand by having this baby. Right now, it's probably the most important thing that has happened to her, but at the same time, it could be snatched away from her. And if a man's Chiron was to conjunct my moon oh no, just go. Just go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want his South Node near none of my shit. His Chiron. Oh my God.
Yeah, and she's going through her Chiron return right now in Pisces.
Yes.
It's like almost exact.
That's right.
So this,
and Venus is there intensifying this pain.
Yeah. Even though this could have been a business deal, there's something that is painful for her about this. And I think it's probably mainly based around the kids more than the relationship, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
I agree. Because
I think it's
Taurus
definitely what
women.
Appollonia said.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tony.
No, I was going to say, I was piggybacking off of what you said earlier about possibly having this child, quote unquote, taken away from her. And it almost, if you really think it back, when they were growing up, how their childhood was taken away from them pretty much. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. So I could kind of see, like April said, with this Chiron return, that whole aspect coming back around. This child now has a responsibility even at a young age. He's going to have to be groomed, just like you said. So I can see, this is probably quite painful for her. Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And I have heard Taurus women say when they get really angry, fuck love, just give me money. I've heard Scorpio women say that too. So I think with her getting out of this and being financially well off, I think in the beginning she may have been looking at it like, well, hey, shit, if we ever do split, at least I'll be paid, that type of thing. But now with that child coming into play, it's opening up a whole set of wounds that she never even had to deal with per se. And then another thing I just thought about, and I mentioned this yesterday in our group chat, was this a quote-unquote keep a dude baby? You know how women will try to have that fix-it baby to see if that child will rekindle some feelings or gloss over issues, because y'all just had the baby in January. Issues had to be brewing and bubbling way prior to this, because prior to her having her Chiron return, Chiron has been blowing through her fourth house. So that hasn't made for an easy transit, especially when Chiron was sitting next to Neptune through her fourth house as well. I'm sure that was very hard mentally and emotionally. So something had to be happening for the baby to only be a few months old, and now you're out the door.
Well, I think that she had this baby for the money, because I'm looking at her sun in Taurus is conjoined to her North Node in Taurus is at the same degree. That can deal with having a child for a financial come up, especially if you're taking into account Janet Jackson's life. And we already know that she's detached in terms of her nurturing abilities and because of that first child, allegedly. So when you combine all that together, and then she got that stellium in Taurus opposing Neptune and Scorpio, that could be making sacrifices to get your hands on somebody else's money. So with that Scorpio-Taurus opposition, that could be custody, it could be alimony, it could be child support, that prenup, all of that stuff. I think Janet knew exactly what she was doing when she got married to that guy. I think this was a whole strategic plan for her.
Oh, yeah. With the Magician card for her, that's why I say well played. But I'm thinking, well, you answered that question for me. Yeah. it was all strategically planned, but I don't know why she didn't go about it another way.
Like how?
I don't know. I just... I want to see 10 years from now someone asks her, was it worth the money?
Right.
Having your heart ripped out of your chest, it doesn't really matter if you have 5 or 6 mils sitting in the bank if your heart has been ripped from your chest. So,
but maybe not, because when I see that she got that moon in Aries, a woman with moon in Aries may not necessarily have that strong motherhood, yearning. And it's in quincunx to her Uranus and Pluto and Virgo, so she just may not have that nurturing thing with her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I just looked up the baby's chart real quick, and the baby has a stellium in Pisces, and that lands in her 4th/5th house. So
abandonment.
She probably, yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm being all negative.
Abandonment, but he's probably musically inclined too. Abandonment, but that child is going to be musically inclined, and he's going to want to be a musician like his mother, opposed to what his daddy wants him to do, of ruling some foreign land.
Now that's where she might be full of regret. Once she realized how talented this boy is, and that he's like a mini Michael Jackson, that's when she'll be regretting her decision. Like, damn. Once that baby,
but then that's her looking at her child as a meal ticket, but that's Venus conjunct Moon as well.
Wow.
That can be the dark side of Venus conjuncting Moon, looking at your children as if they're meal tickets.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then with the
trying
Pisces
to show them off. I've seen Venus in Moon in that Mama June's chart. Remember, she was always putting Honey Boo Boo in all those pageants. Those pageant moms have Venus and Moon together.
Wow.
Showing off their daughters, making them look like they're 30 and they're 5,
Yeah, and having Moon in the 5th house can be also that too, like having talented children and showing. I know I'm guilty. I have Moon in the 5th house. I'm guilty of that. Like, my kid is really talented, and when I discovered his DJing abilities, I was like, oh my God, look at my kid. Like, he's awesome. Showing him off everywhere. It's like, that sage mom thing. I was on the verge of that, but not completely, because I knew my chart. Yeah. So, kind of kept it under control.
Yeah.
But I was still bragging, though.
Well, I think we've read her to the T, but I wish her luck during this transition. I know that can be tough, even though, she may not be into the guy, and this has to be difficult with a few-month-old baby. Sending energy to you, Janet Jackson.
Then I guess we could start talking about the main topic tonight, which is health and astrology, and just diving into based on the like how each sign of the zodiac rules a certain area of your body. So if you're born under that sign, you can be more susceptible to certain ailments or illnesses. But also, I find that based on the signs in the area of the body that rules, that could be somewhere where you are more blessed with your health, or gifted, or endowed, or something, as well as just illness and ailments, sensitivity or whatever. But also we can dive into like maybe a couple of long-term transits to look for, like transits of certain planets to the 6th house of health, or stuff like that, so people can know when to look out for that, and when you would have to really, really take care of yourself, really make sure you keep up on those doctor visits and whatnot. So.
And I think if we touch on if anyone is familiar with any feminine health issues astrologically, maybe one that you've experienced yourself, or any that you may have seen in other people, I think that'll be good to mention too.
Yeah, I have Moon Square Pluto in my chart, and ever since I started menstruating, I think at like 12, I had horrible cramps and terrible PMS. So if Pluto is afflicting your moon, that could be by square, opposition, maybe even conjunction in some cases. You could have like just painful periods, or you might even develop fibroids. You might develop ovarian cysts, things like that. But, yeah, because the moon regulates our menstrual cycles as women. And for a woman's chart, you want to look at the moon in particular to look at her overall health profile as well as the sixth house. But if for a man, you really want to look at his sun. So if your moon as a woman is severely afflicted, you could have menstrual problems, but also problems with your overall health, especially dealing with your stomach, digestive issues, and whatnot.
Oh,
yes,
that is extremely very true. Very true, Rahbinah.
Yeah.
I have a similar story. I guess I wouldn't say my moon is squared by Saturn natally, also squared by Uranus, and I went through a bout of with PCOS, and that one was, I guess it wasn't until, I want to say it was maybe 3 or 4 months total when you don't even have a cycle at all, and you're like, hey, what the hell is going on? And at the same time, I had a friend who was having cycles that were going on for 15, sometimes 16 days, and she ended up having what's called endometriosis.
Wow.
But I'll have to pull her chart to see if she had anything like as far as her moon being afflicted. But PCOS, it will stop your cycle, and it will actually make you think that you're pregnant due to the weight gain, due to the moody behavior. But then when you go to the doctor, nothing. You're not expecting or anything like that. And when it does come on, it's very, very heavy. It may stay on for maybe 7 to 9 days, but it's just extremely heavy. And now I don't have it anymore, but I have had bouts with that, with my moon squaring Saturn, and then my moon is in the first house as well. So it directly would affect my appearance and my weight fluctuations. So, yeah, I definitely would press for any woman to really dig into aspects that her moon makes, also dig into analyzing the house that your moon sits in, as well as any rulers, any moon-ruled houses, to really just dissect your moon, because that is directly correlated or connected to our womb itself.
Now, Appollonia,
I will agree with that.
With your first house moon, you said your moon is in the first, right?
Yep.
Yeah, my moon's in the first too. I just want to ask you, do you sweat? Like, do you sweat profusely at times? Like, do you sweat like a little too much?
Yes, and I sweat in my sleep too.
Okay, that's me. So I attribute it to the moon and being in the first house, because you know the moon is basically water and it's like watery.
Yeah.
So I think that contributes to sweating a lot, because I sweat like a pig in heat. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, see, I don't have it popping off my head like Shaq or anything, but I've been natural for most of my life. You know, catch those teas. When I read Superhead's book, she said that Shaq would sweat so much and wet up her bed that she would have to flip her mattress over when he left. But but yeah, that's why I always think about Shaq when people say sweating, because if you find like YouTube videos of Shaq when he was playing ball, he wipes his face like 30 times on the court. So if you ever want to laugh one day, just look that up. And that's why I was like, that girl is not lying because he sweats all the time. But anyway, I digress. But yes, I've been natural most of my life, my hair being natural, and that was a common complaint of my mom when I was growing up. Like, she would press my hair, and I would literally, like, sweat it out 2 days later. So I would be back at the stove getting my hair straightened because I would always sweat my hair out, and I still have that issue as an adult, even to the point where I put on deodorant before bed. Most women may not do that, but I have to sleep in deodorant because I sweat in my sleep, so I could wake up musty. So, yeah. Pay attention to that house placement of the moon. That's for sure.
Yeah, and those aspects, I can validate what Rahbinah said. I have every single outer planet aspecting my moon, and there's squares, there's oppositions, there's a quincunx or a inconjunct, and then there's, I think, one trine from Uranus. But yeah, so I have like every month cramps are horrible. Like I really have to be. I should really, like, if I work at a regular job, I should be home on those days, like every month, because it is torture. It's torture. Yeah. I have migraines, pulsating migraines. My whole body aches. My legs, muscles hurt. I could barely walk. Like, I get sick. I get a fever. It's terrible. And I do have a lot of stomach issues, too, which the moon rules the stomach. So just wanted to validate that. You do have to look at the aspects to your moon, especially if you're a lady, because it will tell a lot.
Now, Rahbinah, do you notice being a first house moon that your weight fluctuates, or that may be my moon square Uranus as well?
No, I got that same problem too. So that's why I'm on. I've been on a special diet for the past 3 years because I realize I have my limits when it comes to like eating and weight gain and stuff. But yeah, moon, especially in the midsection. Moon in the first house can make you gain weight, especially in your midsection. But my boobs have grown over the years, which can be moon in the first house too. So I like the size. I didn't like them when I was a teen, but now they're nice and ample, and that could be moon in the first house.
Well endowed now.
I got that matronly look now.
Moon too.
So tell me about your first house moon.
I keep forgetting Tony's a first house moon too.
Well, I'm looking forward to the boobs.
Me too, Tony.
That gave me some hope. But I definitely agree on the midsection. I tell you what my problem is, that I still can't figure out if there's something in particular that I'm eating. Because when I wake up in the morning, my stomach is not bloated. It's like as the day progresses, I feel like I get larger and larger. And I have to think, well, what did I eat that was so different? And am I having some sort of allergic reaction? You know, my gut, maybe it's not liking what I'm consuming. So I agree with you guys on that first house moon. Now, I don't sweat. That's the funny thing. And I don't know if it has anything to do with Uranus squaring my moon. I really don't sweat like that, but I did have a bout where irregular periods for me was just the norm. You know, I would go to the doctors, and they would give me a pill to start my cycle. And after a while, I guess it's really not too much of a concern. I think now they believe as long as you have, I think at least 4 years or something, it was a really low number, that they still consider that to be healthy, and they no longer give you medicine and things like that to make you come on your cycle. But I did want to make mention about endometriosis. One thing that I've noticed is Cancer sun females and Cancer at the ascendant. A lot of those women have issues with endometriosis because the sign of Aquarius falls in that 8th house. So even as you guys were talking about your experiences, when I think, Rahbinah, you have the moon in Capricorn, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were talking about, the difference in, the pain that you will go through on a monthly basis when you have your cycle. That really triggers that connection between Uranus and the sign of Cancer. Well, Saturn, of course, is the ancient ruler of Aquarius. So I'm hearing that a whole lot. So I think there is some truth to that. I did do a quick little study in one of the groups that I was in, and a lot of women spoke about that. A lot of Cancer women was like, oh, yeah, I'm a Cancer sun, or I'm a Cancer ascendant, and I have these issues. Also, Mars in the sign of Cancer for women, a lot of times they may have breast surgery, and they have issues with their stomach. And I know several Mars and Cancer females who have issues with their stomachs, definitely. So that's another little thing to throw out. I'm pretty sure somebody can
now that's interesting what you said about the Cancer women and the issues with the endometriosis, because I have known very many Cancer women that either have a severe rate of miscarriage, or either they're barren altogether. And I never quite understood why so many Cancer women would either be really shitty moms, to the tune of putting a man before their kids, being just really shitty in general as a mother, or either they would be barren and would want children very bad. So, yeah, I've seen both sides of the coin, even though Cancer rules the sign of motherhood. So I've always been trying to figure out what that is, because I have known at least 6 Cancer women that, like I said, will either have back-to-back miscarriages, or either want kids and just can't get pregnant. Now, some of them have been addicts or users at some point, so I would always say, well, I wonder, was it the drugs or something that fucked up their womb, or is it just the simple fact that, now some of them were alcoholics too, not just drug addicts, so, but I would always wonder about that, so you triggered that thought for me.
Well, how it came up, my mom is an Aquarius sun. She's a Cancer rising. And she was the only person that I knew, of course, who had endometriosis. But not until during the election, we were trying to figure out Hillary Clinton's ascendant. And what really clued me in is the fact that she just had that one child, and they kept talking about the trouble that she had conceiving, that she would conceive and she would miscarry. It was just a repeated theme, and I thought, I really believe this woman is a Cancer ascendant, which would make, of course, not Uranus, but Aquarius on the 8th. And the fact that it stated that she had endometriosis. And I was like, this is definitely it. And so that prompted me to do the poll. And when that kept popping up, I said, that makes a whole lot of sense. And then, of course, I had my mom and all her female issues. And I was like, that really makes sense to me now. So, yeah, definitely when next time you guys are doing a reading, you run across a Cancer sun female, ask them about that. See what they say.
And Hillary looks like a Cancer at the ascendent, because I noticed another thing about Cancers. Cancers get those Cancers get the worst bags under their eyes. They get huge. And it gives them this whole puppy dog eye look. Do you guys notice that?
I never noticed that with Cancer in the bag.
Yeah, but
Cancers at the ascendant, they get those awful bags under their eyes, and they get so big and puffy, and it gives them that puppy dog look. And Hillary had that look the entire election. I was like, damn, I know it's somebody on the staff to get her some fucking cream for those bags under her eyes. Letting her get on stage like that every night. But that was that Cancer energy, and I'm sure she was stressed out and overworked and not sleeping well. So, yeah. But that makes really good point, Antoinette, with Cancer at the ascendant. Yeah, so anything else you guys wanted to touch on, I guess, before we kind of go through the signs a little bit? Or
well, I wanted to touch on Venus and how that pertains to a woman's reproductive system. Venus and because Venus can deal with the actual upper part of the woman's reproductive system, so the ovaries, the fallopian tubes. So if Venus is in challenging aspects, say to like Neptune or Pluto or something like that, a woman may have a hard time conceiving or carrying a baby to term because of issues with her ovaries or her fallopian tubes. They might be prone to an ectopic pregnancy, you know, where the pregnancy gets stuck in the fallopian tubes. So, Venus, too, you got to look at specifically with reproductive system, but it can also pertain to diabetes as well if Venus is afflicted.
Yep. That's correct. That is correct.
Now, that's very true. I have Venus square Pluto, but I haven't had any issues as of yet with ectopic pregnancies. Now, an issue that I did have, and this would happen sporadically. So when I was maybe about 15, I would start getting abdominal pain. It was usually right before my period, or it was sometime during the ovulation cycle. I would get extremely chaotic abdominal pain where it would have me bending over and I couldn't even stand. It felt like my womb was falling out. And it would happen for 1, 2, maybe 3 days, and then it would just go away like it never happened. So, of course, my family would take me to the ER, and sometimes it would only happen like once a year. So fast forwarding from like 16 to the age of 19. So by 19, I'm living on my own in my own place, and it happens to me while I'm at work. And I literally had to, like, the company I worked for literally had to put me in a cab to the ER because I was, like, bent over, couldn't even stand it. So moving forward, skipping forward, every time I go to the ER, they check everything under the sun, and nothing. So a couple years later, 21, it happens again. And this time I'm in Texas by myself. At the time I was with my first husband, and he was away. So it's like I went to the hospital on the military base. So this time, you know, at the military hospital, they have all these specialists on board and stuff like that. So, of course, at the ER, they find nothing, but they refer me to one of the best specialists in the area dealing to reproductive issues. So long story short, they put this, because I hadn't conceived at that point in my life. I had never had any children or any pregnancies. They put this tube inside of me, basically, and it's a camera on the end, so they didn't find anything that way. So then they put a dye inside of my fallopian tubes. They skeet this dye in there and have me roll around the table and so the x-rays can see. So it was, and that was painful, and I'm getting to the point of what happened was the doctor called me back, and he did the follow-up, and he said, so what you have is extremely rare because every woman doesn't feel it, but he said, I have fraternal twin syndrome. So there are cycles. Wow. Yeah, and he said the women that do complain about it say that it's very painful. But, and he said it usually only happens 1 to 2 times a year. When he said that, I was like, oh, my God, yes, that's because I said it's like it plagues me at some point of the year, and it's like I never know when it's going to happen. And he said one of your cycles yearly, you drop 2 eggs instead of 1. So when those 2 eggs fall to be fertilized and they're not fertilized, they rupture for you to bleed. That's how a woman has her menses. And that chaotic rupture is what has you in the fetal position for 2 to 3 days. because it can be rather painful. And he said usually one of those eggs is larger than the other. And it's fraternal twin syndrome. And he said, so if those eggs were to be fertilized, of course your twins wouldn't be identical, because identical is when one egg is fertilized and the egg splits. It's so large that it splits. So, yeah. So it took all of those years, Venus square Pluto, in my 12th and my 8th. It took all of those years from being plagued with that issue from 16 to 21 to find out that I had fraternal twin syndrome. Now, I can say that since I have, and he did say usually once you have a child, it diminishes. You won't even feel it. He said you will probably have fraternal twin syndrome forever, but it will lessen the pain of it once you have already had a child. And since I've had my children, I haven't felt that pain like that since. So, yeah, that speaks to the womb and Venus squaring my Pluto and shaking womb pain. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Venus rules the ovum, so that makes perfect sense. As I'm listening to you talk, I'm like, oh, my gosh. But you brought up something for me. With my Aquarius moon squaring Uranus, one of the indicators that I get when my cycle is about to come on is I get like cramps in my right calf. And I never think about it. It happens to me every month. And I'll go through a period when I'm stretching it, and I realize, okay, I know in a couple of days, here she comes. And that's like a little signal for me every month. Which, you know, the sign of Aquarius rules the calf. So, you have to pay attention to your body to that degree to know, you know. And I did that by tracking the moon, to be quite honest with you, and trying to figure out whether it was the sun or the moon that would trigger my, you know, my menses every month. So, but that was something that popped out to me. So, yeah, pay attention to your body.
And that's not a common place to get cramps in your in your calf.
Calf. Wow. My right calf. And I have my husband, please massage it. Please massage. Yes. Definitely. I do. I'm like, oh my gosh, because it's just, you know, it gets really tight, and I don't know what else to do, you know, aside from walk. You know, walking does help, but there is no way to get rid of it. Nah, it's just a part of the process. But that was a very interesting story, App.
Yeah, it just triggered so much when Rahbinah said Venus and the ovaries and the fallopian tubes, because when they put that dye, I don't know why it called me silly, but when the nurse came in there with that shit in her hand, and I was like, so you want me to drink something, right? I had no idea it was going up my coochie.
Oh, wow. That was interesting.
Yeah, it was, and I was like, wow. So she's like, yeah, we're going to put the ink in your fallopian tubes, and we're going to put it on we'll be able to see it on the ultrasound to see what's really going on. But I'm happy that I did get it done, because then it answered all of my questions of what I had been experiencing for so many years. And then also as well, I was with my first husband for 7 years, and we had never been pregnant ever. So that opened up another window of understanding that the doctor was like, well, yeah, not only are you fertile, you have fraternal twin syndrome. So if there's any issues with conceiving, is definitely on his end, not yours. So that led to a whole another boat of issues. So, yeah, and that happened. I found all of that out when I was maybe 21, 22. So, yeah, that's Venus square Pluto for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what about you, April? You're quiet over there. Any health-related issues in your chart?
Yeah, I'll just talk about it briefly because we only have like 30 minutes left, and we have 2 callers.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're watching the clock for us like a good tourist. So if you guys want to, if you want to touch on it, or if you want to go get to our callers, it's up to you. However you want to flow with it.
No, I already mentioned, the moon and every outer planet aspects my moon, and all of them are retrograde too. So I have all kinds of moon problems, moon problems.
Wow.
What's it called? Feminine issues, hormonal stuff, and then Pisces is one of the signs that rules hormones and stuff. So, yeah, I have all kinds of issues. I am a pleasure to be around. 1 week a month. I'm glad I work from home now because I wanted to kill everybody in my work environment every month when I still had to go in there. It was horrible. And then my boss would ask me, "Why do you have a heating pad?" And I would just give him the death stare, like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, do you really want to know? Or I would come into work, have to go straight to, handle some lady stuff real quick, and then I would get interrogated by a ex-military drill sergeant, a.k.a. manager of mine, and I would give her the look like, "Do you really want to know why you want to know why?"
Yeah.
And she'd be like, "Okay,
during
I'm
my
good."
cycle, too, I'm in the bathroom a long time. You would think I'm performing surgery because, for number one, I have to have feminine wipes. I have to have toilet paper. I have to, it's a whole setup. It's a whole setup. So, yeah, and I think that should, whenever we get a feminine leader or something in the world, I think that it should be an optional time for women to have to come to work during their cycle and things like that, because that's a lot to deal with at work.
Thank you.
I'm voting for you. You got my vote.
And my grandmother, when I was growing up, and my grandma would notice that I got my period, she would always say, "You want to stay home today, baby? You don't got to go to school and deal with that shit at school. You don't got to deal with that at school. Go ahead and get back in the bed." Oh, my God, that would just be like heaven to my ears when my grandmother would say that to me. So, and I think that it should really be optional. I really don't think that, we should all pump our bicep like that chick on the poster with that infamous fucking red bandana on, and we're just soldiering through it. Hell no.
Right. Or like
especially when you have superiors looking at you for long periods of time when you in the bathroom for 30 minutes. Like, bitch, you want to switch coochies with me for today? Or, what do you want to do? So, I definitely think it should be optional, or it should be some form of FMLA when a woman has to, be on her cycle.
Yeah, most days when I was employed, I would have to take days off at least, the first day if I happened to start during the week. And when I would start on the weekend, I'd be so happy. I'd be like, yes. Because I knew if I start during the week, I got to take a day off. And I hated taking days off, especially for that. But, sometimes it's unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very true.
Word. Well, I guess before we get to the callers, I'm a Taurus. I kind of want to keep my word. And I guess just go through the zodiac really quick of what areas of the body that each sign rules, just so, some of our callers or listeners that aren't aware are aware. So, okay, so I'll just do that. So Aries, if you have, and this is sun, moon, or rising, and even if you have this sign on the cusp of your 6th house in your chart, you don't know what that is, but you know your sun sign. Count 6 signs from your sun sign. So Aries rules the head, so they may be prone to migraines, headaches, even on a major side, like those blood clots that they get in the brain. Taurus rules the throat. It rules what we eat, what we ingest. So you may be sensitive or prone to losing your voice, like me as a Taurus. Or you may have a nice singing voice, too, okay? People may tell you have a nice voice. Gemini rules the lungs, and it rules, like, the breathing. It also rules the arms and the hands. But Geminis are really sensitive and prone to allergy problems. Allergies are a big issue with Geminis. Mm-hmm. They sneeze all over the damn place all the time. I have a Gemini moon husband, and whenever I'm doing podcasts or recording videos, he's always sneezing in the background. People may notice that. Cancer rules the chest area, and so for women, that's the breast, also the stomach. So, that may be, like, more endowed in that area. That's also an area of the body that women, if you're born with Cancer in your chart somewhere prominent, you need to really get checkups, what's called mammograms. Every woman should, but if you have Cancer or Cancer on the 6th house, maybe even the 8th house, you want to get those done like clockwork. Leo rules the heart, so heart problems. Leo can have those very easily, more easily than others. Also, Leo rules the back. They can have issues with their back a lot of times, be a very sensitive area. Virgo actually rules health and illness and being very, very paying a lot of attention to your health. They're very meticulous about health a lot of times. It can be hypochondriacs. But Virgo, it's ruled by Mercury. It's nervousness, and it also rules the lower intestines. So may have that may be a sensitive area. Libra, lower back and kidneys. Libras really need to make sure they drink a lot of water. And some of the other paired organs are ruled by Libra. Scorpio is the genitalia and also, so like the anal area and like the colon and all that stuff is ruled by Scorpio. So really definitely get those areas of your body checked out frequently if you have Scorpio prominent in your chart. Maybe more prone to STDs and things like colon cancer, so make sure you really keep up with that stuff. Sag, the hip and the thigh area, sensitive areas for Sag. Also, maybe, a more nicer looking area for Sag, okay. Sag also rules the liver. They may be more susceptible to liver issues, and Sag is one of the signs that are famously known for drinking a lot, drinking too much. So that's also why they are more prone to liver issues. Capricorn rules the skin, the bones, the teeth, the joints. So, those are areas that Capricorn needs to really take care of, especially. And also Capricorns are prone to, like, eczema. I know a lot of Capricorns with eczema. They have, what are those called, keloids, skin tags, like marks on their skin. They really have to take care of their skin. But they can have good bone structure, though, good cheekbones. So Aquarius rules, like, the calves of the body. That may be an area that Aquarius needs to make sure that they don't break that area of the body, the bones and everything. They may be prone to, like Tony was talking about, those cramps in the calves as well. And then Pisces rules the feet. So, Pisces may be more prone to things like, I guess, like athlete's foot and, any issues with the feet, ingrown toenails. And some Pisces may have really nice-looking feet or have foot fetishes. That's another topic for another day. So that's me running through the zodiac real quick.
Good.
Yes. Nice. Very true with Aquarius and spasms, too. Spasms and cramps. Like when you catch a Charlie horse, that's definitely Aquarius, Uranus energy. And me being an Aquarius rising.
Pregnancy. That is infamous. Think about it. That makes sense.
I'm an Aquarius rising, so the Charlie horses and the abrupt spasms or sharp pains out of nowhere, that happens for me often.
I get so. We have one caller holding. I just wanted to point out one other thing. If you know the sign that's on your 6th house, say for example, right now Saturn is in Sagittarius. If you have Sagittarius on your 6th house cusp, so what sign would that be? That would be Cancer. a lot of Cancers are having Saturn transit their health area. So Saturn, the great bringer of lessons, he may be teaching you some things about taking care of your health and prompting you to take care of your health. He may bring up some more serious health issues for you right now, Cancers. Actually, I do know a Cancer that just called me today with a health issue that she just got diagnosed with today as Saturn went retrograde in Sag. So, Cancers really right now need to take care of their health. Scorpio, Uranus is transiting your 6th house of health. Uranus can bring sudden changes, sudden, abrupt, unexpected things. So for Scorpios, that could be in your health. You really need to watch it. So those are just a couple of examples of the transits. I guess maybe on a later date, because we're running out of time, we can go over more of those unless you guys wanted to add any real quick before we only have one caller holding, so we'll definitely get to them.
Libra risings have Neptune going through their house of health right now as well.
Oh, true,
yeah.
true.
So they may be having issues that are like hard to pin down. They don't know what, but they know there's something, and it may take a minute for it to come to light. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I've noticed that when people have a transit of Neptune through their 1st house, a lot of times they can have some weird health issues pop up, and it's hard to diagnose, or their health just starts deteriorating. And I hope that doesn't scare people, but it's just like their health becomes more delicate because Neptune is a planet of dissolvement, and if it's transiting through the 1st house of the body, well, you really need to keep up with your health, and it can be kind of hard, but and you can be more prone to like invasive bacterial diseases and infections because that's what Neptune rules too. So yeah, a lot of Pisces and Pisces risings really need to take care of their health, especially right now too. So we have 2 callers holding, so we're gonna get to them right now. We have one that's been holding for a long time. Thank you so much for holding on and for listening. So area code 917-607. You're on the air with the Cosmic Council. Hello.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. My name is Selena. I'm calling from the Bronx.
Hi, nice to hear from you.
You guys are amazing and really funny. I've been enjoying the whole conversation.
Thank you for listening.
So I actually called in. I usually listen. I don't always call in. But I believe I have my moon in my 1st house, and I have PCOS. I have night sweats.
Wow.
I have stomach bloating. I was like, oh, my gosh, that's me. That's me. Everything you guys are saying.
Wow.
You called in on the right night, didn't you?
Right.
Wow.
Right.
I did.
So we can make note of that.
Yeah. I mean, it was like really crazy when I was like, there's something to this, I guess. So,
wow. So do you want to give us your birth data? We can pull your chart.
Sure. My birthday is November 15th, 84.
November 15th or 16th?
15.
15, okay. 84. And what time were you born?
10:50 p.m.
10:50. And what city and state?
Bronx, New York.
Okay.
Okay, so you're Leo rising and Leo moon in the 1st.
Her Leo moon is squaring her sun.
Saturn, Pluto.
Yeah. And it's all in your 4th house, too, which is naturally a Cancerian or moon house. Do you have any children yet?
Not yet. I did have a miscarriage last year in February. But I was like, I wasn't planning it. It just kind of happened. So everything was like totally unexpected.
Okay. Because I'm dealing with this energy of your 5th house, Neptune conjuncting Venus. Do you eventually want children?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm just gathering my thoughts because I'm like, my mind is going on overload. So you guys can take over till I gather my thoughts a second. on what I'm looking at, because her moon is squaring this fourth house energy, but then it's turning around and trining the fifth house energy. So are you dating a man that has children or ever been the form of a stepmother or
every man I've dated has had children, usually a daughter.
Yeah, because I see you mothering children that may not be from your womb per se. Not saying that you won't ever have children, but a lot of children in your life that didn't necessarily come through you, that you mother.
Yeah. I'm like, every guy I meet, I mean, I know once you reach a certain age, it's kind of hard not to meet a guy that doesn't have kids, but I'm just like, come on. And they always have a daughter. It was just, like, so freaking weird.
Okay. And, yeah, your moon squares Saturn like mine, too, except for mine is in the 1st and the 10th. So, excuse me, your moon square Saturn issues may have directly affected your home life, but my home life wasn't shitty, but there were more so issues directly with my mother. Now, with yours and your Saturn energy, of course, that could also be the PCOS and the irregular periods. And then that could also point to you being a mother later in life, or feeling like you had children late, because I felt like I had kids late too, but that's just because every woman in my family started popping out kids when they were 13 and 14, so in my eyes that was late. So feeling like you're late to the party when you start to produce children.
Well, I already feel like I'm late to the party already.
Yeah.
You know, my parents had me when they were 40. And I was just like, I don't want that. Like, I mean, it was a blessing, of course, according to my mom and my dad, but that's just not something I want, you know what I'm saying? They're a little concerned or whatever, but
now, you have your chance when Saturn conjuncts your Venus in Cap. He may ease up and bless you with a child, because the ruler of your fifth house is Jupiter, and Saturn is going to conjunct your Jupiter. So Jupiter may whisper something sweet in Saturn's ear and let him know that you really want a baby. Saturn isn't as hard on Jupiter. He bucks at Uranus, but they go back and forth. They kind of pass each other the reins in my eyes. So the later part or the later transit of Saturn through Cap could definitely make you a mother.
And when is that? Like,
Saturn goes into Cap wing, you guys. Not until 2018.
December. It goes in
December.
Late December, very end of this year, 2017, and it'll kick in 2018. But also, maybe when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius too. That's Jupiter in the fifth house is a famous transit for bringing pregnancy and children, or maybe your Jupiter return in Capricorn because you have Jupiter in the fifth house. So probably like
very
2018,
true.
19, 20, you may be more likely to conceive.
Yeah. And with those double hitting transits back to back, your children may be close in age. Like sometimes that happens where even though you started late, you'll have Irish twins. Like they'll be 12, 13, 14 months apart. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a question.
Sure, go ahead.
It doesn't have to do with health, but I believe my Chiron is in Gemini, retrograde. What exactly, how does that affect, like, my chart? Or, because I'm still learning, you know. I'm trying to be pros like you guys, but I'm so far off. So I just want to know how.
No, it's cool. Well, with Chiron in your 10th house and it's retrograde, the main thing that I'm seeing is that, like, when it comes to your job, you might have certain opinions or ideas, but you may not speak up immediately, or you might feel like, you know, you'll just get shot down if, you know, you voice your opinion or you voice your concerns. And a lot of times that could actually happen. But the good thing is your Chiron is in trine to Mars in Aquarius. So that can deal with some special skills that you have either via birth or special skills that you develop, and that can really take you far in terms of your career. And with that Chiron in the 10th house, you're supposed to be doing something that's rather unique or outside of the box.
I'm working on it, I guess.
Okay.
I like that too. Yeah. With Rahbinah saying that, and now Mars is hovering over your 10th house right now, and your Chiron is sitting next to your North Node. So have you been thinking lately about pursuing your dreams or things that you're passionate about, questioning your purpose?
Right, yeah, all that.
Yeah, and that's because Mars is having a conversation with your North Node. Where's my life going? What am I supposed to be doing? Whenever your North Node is activated, those type of questions start, running through your mind. So I think right now really focusing on what you're passionate about, what could you see yourself doing on a regular basis that doesn't bore you, but that you can also create a career from or make a living out of it. Now, with Taurus being at your midheaven, you definitely want some form of stability and want something that's going to be lucrative or worth your while, but you're going to have to do something you love, something you enjoy, because it's something pertaining to your career that needs healing with Chiron and Gemini there. So that could probably be the most difficult thing, is that your North Node is in Taurus, but your Chiron made it to Gemini. So it's kind of like you're going to have to toggle between the two in order to satisfy the energy of that 10th house.
Maybe have two jobs or two different careers running concurrently.
Mm-hmm. Or something that you can merge. That might be a good idea, too. Something that you can kind of interweave together. Or maybe, like, say, for example, if you start a business with somebody and you're more of the marketer, or either they're more of the marketer, or take on the Gemini-esque roles of the business, and you do the more Taurian-esque roles of the business. That's just a thought. But, yeah, so definitely start toying with what you're really put here to do.
Yes, I'm trying my best to figure that all out. And I'm really into astrology. I've been into astrology for a long time, but now, I would say the last year, I'm like, I think I can do this. So I'm really been focusing on that, trying to.
I'm thinking we're going to eventually host a workshop on helping people to find their passions from an astrological perspective. I have been doing it with my clients one-on-one when I was home-based and just working from home. But right now I'm noticing that those sessions are so intense, it's getting a little bit daunting for just myself. So maybe we will host a workshop like that. So definitely keep your ear out, because I'm thinking that's something that's needed, because so many people, that's a lot of times what a lot of my calls are based around. What am I supposed to be doing? What is my career? What am I supposed to be? What did I get sent here to do? That's a lot of it, and I really think it's something that we can do on a united front, because it's really in-depth work.
Yes, it is, and I thank you so much, ladies. It's always a pleasure listening to you guys. If I don't listen to you live, I listen to the playback, on the weekends when I'm cleaning my house. So.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, happy to hear it.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for calling in, too, and for your input. And take care of yourself. And keep listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Take care. Good night.
Bye. I think this person hopped back on. Let me try to open their mic again. Okay, 862-239, you're on the air.
Hi, I'm sorry. I had walked away from the phone. I was getting picked up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We've got a few minutes left, just a few. So who are we speaking to tonight?
My name is Jackie, and my birthday is 1/5/1965. I was born in the UK, but I don't know the exact time of birth.
Do you know where in the UK, Jackie?
In London.
Okay, in London. And what can we assist you with tonight, Jackie?
Well, you know, I missed the early part of the show, but the last few callers that I heard talking, it felt like you were talking to me. So in my mind, I'm just trying to get as much information that I can gather about my chart based on whatever you can find. Hopefully one day I want to get my chart rectified so that I could, you know, try to pinpoint my exact time.
Yeah, so, well, since we only have a few minutes, it'll be hard to give a general. So is there any specific question or anything you want us to look at just right off the top?
Health and family concerns, you know, some anxiety and issues, whatever shows up.
Okay, so your anxiety is heightened right now. Okay, let's see. Your natal Mercury squares your Uranus, and let me see if I can add transits to this really quickly. 1 second. If anybody else has pulled it, you guys can roll with it.
Well, yeah, her Mercury and Venus are conjunct, and they square Uranus. And Mercury, you know, in aspect to Uranus is a planet that does rule like a buzz of electricity, a buzz of anxiety. And if your Mercury is afflicted, then it can give anxiety too. And this is an affliction because it's a square, so that's probably where your anxiety comes from. Plus your Uranus is in Virgo, and Virgo is a very nervous sign. So your Mercury is in Sagittarius, which is like, it's pretty blunt, and it's pretty like quick with its speech, just says what's on its mind. So yeah, that's just to piggyback off of that. And it's also in square to Mars too. And Mars is very, like, quick to say things and do things and just kind of sporadic. It looks like you have a lot of sporadic stuff going on with your Mercury, which is your mind. So, and it's conjunct the South Node, too, which can bring some a sense of erraticism to your thinking, the movement of your hands and your speech and stuff like that. So that's where that comes
erratic
from.
People during the day.
What's that?
Unfortunately, I deal with a lot of erratic people during the day.
Ooh. Yeah, that can't be good for your nature, your energy.
And then Neptune is hitting your Chiron right now, too, so that can be very bothersome. We don't know the exact placement of where your Chiron sits, but that can definitely be bothersome at the moment. And
when it hits your Chiron, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it stirs issues from the past or pain, past hurts. To me, Chiron is signified by PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, issues that you thought you had put to bed resurfacing. It's kind of like reopening an old wound. And Neptune, being the planet that rules, it can rule your mind, your emotions. It can also rule things that you hide, things that you tuck away. So Neptune is making those things resurface. Then the Chiron and Venus conjunction as well, happening near all of that Piscean energy of Neptune in your natal Chiron also. So that has a lot to do with your emotional roller coaster and the emotional upheavals that you're having at the moment. Like I said, although we don't know what house it's happening in, but there are a lot of emotional disturbances that you feel that people may not see externally. On the surface, you may look like you're doing fine, but inside it's catastrophic.
It's
extreme
in my family.
Melancholy. I'm sorry?
It's in my family. So which house would that be?
Your fourth house, if it's happening
moon.
in your family.
Mhm.
Are you going through any current health challenges right now? With Saturn rolling over her Mercury as well as her Venus, it almost seems like there's...
in my stomach, I get like really soreness in the pit of my stomach, and sometimes I'll get like a double vision in my head.
Wow.
Double vision in your head, or you meaning
it's like I get double vision, but I feel the throbbing in my head. And like when you was talking to the person earlier about, and then they can't diagnose it. When I go to the doctors, every doctor I go to, nobody can figure out what it is.
And it's not your eyes. Are you?
It is my eyes, but it's just how it feels. It's just like because it's coming at the front of my head.
Mhm.
I'm conscious of it, but it is my eyes.
Wow.
I would love to see a photo of you to attempt to rectify, but we're down to the last few minutes, so you may have to call us back next Moon Monday or when we do another show. Not tomorrow, because we don't do readings on Tuesday, and Wednesday is not our platform. It's another council member. Rahbinah's not on this Saturday coming up. So, unfortunately, you will have to wait until the alternate Saturday. You can call into Rahbinah's show, or you can call back on Moon Monday, because we're really running out of time and we're going to have to close out. But we would really like to assist you, so definitely give us a call back at a later date.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for your call, Jackie.
Thank you, love.
Take care. All right, so we're down to 30 seconds. I guess thanks, everybody, for calling and listening. Don't forget that we have Moon Mondays on YouTube now. Our website is going to be up pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. Tomorrow is the good, the bad, and the scandalous of dating a Capricorn man. Listen to that. We also have Gemini Brown on Wednesday. We have Tony on Friday. We're down to 10 seconds, so I guess thanks and peace out, everybody.
Shout out to Dream Master One in the chat. He just joined us. So I thought I'd give you a shout out.
All right.
Peace.
All right. Have a good night, ladies.
Have a good night. Peace.